Welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of Negro Please. I'm Dallas Scott. That is Hollywood Huff. We have Quan, the producer, in here. How starved are we for sports that ESPN is going to make, like, the NFL schedule, like, a thing? Like, there's nothing going on in the sports world. So we're going to, like, it's almost like draft night. We're going to premiere the... We're going to premiere the NFL schedules tonight. Normally, that's just something they put out there, and then you go and look and see what your team is doing. But no, it's got to be an event on ESPN because we have absolutely nothing in our lives going on right now.
That's how big sports is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sports is so big. We all are sitting around like now we're kind of used to it because we found all these different shows to watch. But it's still just normally so much of our lives is taken up by these 2 and 3 hour events, a couple days a week.
I'm a baseball guy. I miss baseball. I'm not much of an NBA guy, but I pray that we have football, like that the NFL starts on time and we can actually watch some football. I miss baseball. Like I want to run over to San Diego. I love Petco Park over in San Diego where the Padres play. It's one of my favorite parks. It's close to the ocean there. They got a place called Phil's Barbecue in there that has like the best pulled pork sandwich in the world. Like, I miss stuff like that. I miss going outside and watching kids play Little League baseball. And
I like going to games.
Yeah.
I even local events.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like high school games. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I like going to see live sporting events. I don't watch much baseball on TV, but I'll go to a baseball game. Any regular season baseball game I'll go to and watch. But watching it on TV, no way. I'm not watching baseball on TV unless it's the playoffs. But a live baseball game, it could be the two of the worst teams in baseball. And I'm like, yeah, let's go see it. Because I'm down to pay $8 for a hot dog and $15 for a beer. Because I roll like that, you know?
Right.
But, yeah.
The good thing about the Padres is they suck, so the tickets are cheap. But I'm really a Twins fan, so like I really like they got a really good team this year, and they got a chance to take the since there's no cheating in New York or Houston, they have a chance to actually like win the American League, and I'm not going to get a chance to see that. Hopefully, they'll figure something out. So I don't know how much time we're going to spend on this because it's just really I'm going to get mad.
Yeah.
And I'm going to cuss and fight, maybe even cry. I don't know. Unless you've been living in a cave for like the last 4 or 5 days, you haven't seen, everybody's seen this Ahmaud Aubrey shooting in Georgia.
Yeah.
This kid is out jogging, seemingly minding his own business. 2 cars. So I didn't know this. So his lawyer the lawyer for his family was on TMZ yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So the video that we're seeing was actually shot by somebody else who was involved.
Oh, wow.
So the guy who's shooting the video, his job was to cut him off from behind while the truck wouldn't cut him off from the front.
Okay.
This kid's out jogging. Some people just decide that they're going to take life into their own hands. If you haven't seen the video, they're in a white pickup truck. Mike and Travis, I don't want to give their last names because I don't feel like looking at them because I don't feel like they're worth it.
Yeah.
We call them Redneck 1 and 2.
Yeah.
They pull up in front of him. They jump out with guns.
Right.
A struggle ensues. He tries to run around the vehicle.
Right.
Guy comes around the other side of the vehicle with a shotgun. Struggle ensues. I mean, what do you do when somebody pulls a gun on you, right? If you don't have a gun,
Yeah.
Like I'm not running.
You either run or you try to get the gun.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah.
You defend yourself. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you run, you probably get shot in your back. Right. I mean,
of course.
So there ensues a struggle. He gets shot 3 times. Well, they said the gun went off 3 times. They know that for sure he was shot twice.
Yeah.
There's so much wrong. So the father was either on the police force or investigator for the DA's office for 30 years. Between the two, he spent 30 years there.
Right.
There's all kinds of cover up on this. They don't bring any charges. The original prosecutor wrote a statement that it was justifiable, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. It gets so frustrating. And then he recused himself because his son worked with the guy in the district attorney's office as an investigator.
Right.
So, and they've changed their story. Their first story was he fit the description, right? And apparently Georgia has this citizens arrest law. I think most states allow citizens arrest of some type. And Freddie, if you're on here yet, give us a call at what's the number, Quan? The phone number? You don't have it on the wall of this. I can't.
702-608-3259.
All right. So Freddie, please give us a call because we're going to ask you for some. Freddie's our resident legal guy. Went to law school and he kind of knows the law. So I went and Googled this Georgia law, and from what I read of the law, the law says you have a right to detain if you see somebody commit a crime, you have the right to detain them at the scene of the crime.
Right.
Okay. First, they said that he fit the description, so even if they have the right to detain him, he's not at the scene of the crime anymore.
Right.
So they can't detain him because he's not there. And then it was, they saw him commit a crime, and you know what the crime they saw him commit was? Guy's jogging. There's a house under construction. You know what he does? He walks over to the house under construction and looks through the window. I've done this. They're building a whole complex around my house. I've actually walked around the house. The house is under construction. I want to see if the backyards were pool size or if they're small.
Right.
Why is this? There's nothing illegal about this.
And this is my take on this. Okay, so say, because I read something that was like, they thought he fit the description of a guy who was responsible for some burglaries. And then I saw something that said, he was looking through the window of some houses under construction or something, right?
Right.
So I understand if this is your neighborhood and you see this and you think, suspicious activity, right?
Right.
And you pull up on the side of him and then you guys start talking. However, that story doesn't seem to line up with the fact that you got one guy driving a pickup truck with a shotgun or a rifle, because you can see it's a shotgun, right? Yeah. You got another guy in the back of the pickup truck with a shotgun or a rifle.
He's got a pistol. He actually has a handgun. Like if you see one of the videos, you see it from a distance, but it's a big ass gun.
But that's what I'm saying. Right. You got two guys in a pickup truck armed.
Yep.
They weren't just happened to be driving by. I mean, where was they going?
Right.
To Afghanistan?
Right.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it is Georgia. It's like Texas. I mean, people carry their right.
I get having a gun in a truck. Right. You know what I mean? But you got one guy in the back of the truck, one guy in the front of the truck, and then you got a guy following them filming.
Yes.
So, what are you guys just patrolling the neighborhood? You guys do this regularly?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like what? Like I'm armed all the time, but I'm never I don't have somebody following me with guns. Right. You know what I mean? I don't have a partner who's strapped up.
You don't get in your neighborhood and drive around your neighborhood in your minivan looking for somebody to commit a crime.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And dude, here's my thing. Even if you see it, why not call 911?
Right.
If you're so worried, why not call the police? And we, black people as a collective, we get annoyed by people calling the police because this would have easily just been, man, white people calling the police on a black man jogging.
Right.
You know what I mean? I would much rather be seeing that viral story that I'm sick of than this one of three white guys pull up on a black guy and kill him.
Here's the thing,
for no reason.
If they call the police, apparently this town is corrupt as hell. Like he's going to jail for some BS anyway, right? He's probably going to get 8 years for some
trespassing or something.
Right,
yeah.
right,
You know
something crazy,
I mean?
right?
Yeah.
He's going to he has no outs here, right? There's so much wrong with this story. Like everybody involved used to work with this guy or had some type of contact with him at some point.
Yeah.
Because of his phone call. Who's on the phone?
Oh, this is Fred. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Freddie? I have a lot of questions for you, man. And I know you don't. I know you live in Texas, so you may not be completely familiar with Georgia law. But so if somebody walks into my house and they shoot one of my kids, I'm allowed to defend my house. But once they leave the house, I cannot give chase, right? How is this any different than that, right? If the guy leaves the scene of a crime, how can you chase them down?
Technically, kind of, sort of. I mean, from what I've seen as far as the Georgia law, it's stand your ground law, and it's the castle doctrine, which they use, which you can, like you say, you can protect your home. And you have no duty to retreat if someone is in your home or on your property. They also, I believe, have the same law that Texas has, where you can defend your property. And you could actually use deadly force to protect your property. We had a case here in Texas in 2007. Joe Horn, a guy killed his neighbors. Well, not his neighbor. He killed two guys that had broken into his neighbor's house while he was out of town. And they were walking down the street, and he saw them crossing his yard, and he shot and killed both of them, shot them in the back, and got away with it because they allow you to protect your property. So this, something similar, not the exact same, because this guy actually saw them coming out of his neighbor's house and heard them breaking the windows. So he actually saw them.
See, this is the problem, though, right? Like, there's so many different versions from them of what they actually thought he was doing. Like, when his lawyer was on TMZ yesterday, he said that they were looking in the window of a house that was under construction. These guys said that they saw him committed, or he fit the description of somebody who was breaking into houses in the neighborhood. That was their original story. And their justification for shooting them was that he was trying to take their guns for them, so they have a right to defend themselves. But if you're not there chasing this guy with a gun, this would have never happened.
Right.
And apparently, like, I guess a story came out today, somebody just shared, that they went home to get guns to go chase him.
Right, and that's the thing. In Georgia, I think they claimed that they were trying to make a citizen's arrest.
Right.
And again, from what I know of Georgia's law, the citizen arrest, you have to actually be there, or you have to see the person commit the crime.
That's what I read.
So if they
you have to
did not see him commit a crime, then it's not really a citizen's arrest.
That's what I read. That you have to see somebody commit a crime, and that you are allowed to detain them at the place where the crime was committed. So, like, if I see somebody robbing a store and I walk in, I can detain them there at the store. But once they leave, I can't give chase.
Right.
I have another question for you. And this is, to me, this is a crazy case, right? I can't imagine that the lawyer for these people would put them on the stands. But he has to, right? Because as a prosecutor, how do you prosecute this? Like, because you have to question them. You have to know. You go into court, and their theory is that they saw this guy committing a crime. If they're the only people who saw them committing a crime and they don't take the stand, who do you ask what crime he committed?
That's one of those things that kind of depends on the attorney and the evidence that they come up with. And most likely, like you said, they're probably going to have to make them take the stand because, I mean, you don't have anyone else's word. It's their word against a dead man's word. So
and the video,
whatever they say, so they'll prepare them and they'll get them ready to try to dispute whatever your eyes saw and try to get you to say, I didn't see what I really saw. So they'll probably take the stand.
I don't know how the video got released. I don't.
I don't.
If I'm the guy who takes the video, right? There is no way in hell I ever show this video to anybody. This video ever gets out. As soon as he's shot, I'm deleting this footage. How do you save that video? I'm praying that the guy who took the video had a guilty conscience here and was like, whoa. I thought we were making a citizen's arrest, not a murder.
I think he was proud of the video.
You think he was proud of the video? So he
probably sent it to one of his friends, and they probably
saw
it. That's how it got out.
And see, and that's what I think too. I think that because this didn't happen yesterday, this happened a little while ago, right? And so I think that if this video never comes out, nobody knows about it.
Right.
So up to this point, they know all these district attorneys, they know the prosecutors, they know how these things work. They worked the system in their favor. They said all the right things at the right times. They did everything. And I think in their minds, we're in the clear.
Right.
We've beat it. We've beat this. We can ride off into the sunset.
So let's show
like
what
Juan said, he was like, look, this is what happened, y'all. Look, we killed this guy. You know what I mean? He attacked us, you know? And you can show anybody, you can take a 10-minute video and show the last 30 seconds of it or part of it and say, hey guys, look, this is what happened.
Right.
And you can tell your whole story and narrate it to make it seem like everything in that video is going to your favor. This is what lawyers do. This is what they do in court. They try, like our friend said, they want to tell you, you didn't really see what you saw here. This is what it looks like, but this is what it really was.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that's what those guys were doing. I think they felt like, you know what, we're in the clear here. We know everybody. Everybody's like, hey, it's all good. And they put this video out to show, yeah, we defend ours. We do this, whatever, for whatever prideful reasons people do this stuff. I mean, it's freaking ridiculous, man. Like here's the thing. And it's not like everything has to be about race, but sometimes it is. If this was two black guys in a truck shooting a black guy, they'd be in jail.
Guy, yeah.
If they were shooting a white guy, they'd be in jail.
Right.
A black guy, if they were shooting an Asian, it doesn't matter. Two black guys doing this in a truck, they're in jail.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They'd
like,
have been arrested
and if anybody wants to argue, show me a video or show me a time where that's happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's a black victim, right? Two white people killed him. This has been posted all over the internet as like a modern day lynching, and pretty much
it is.
That's what it is.
It is. I mean,
that's what it is. Watch any movie where a black guy gets lynched, and I guarantee you, at some point,
Rosewood.
At some point, you see white people jump out of a pickup truck or
off a horse,
or a wagon. You know what I mean?
The only thing they didn't do was tie him to a tree.
Exactly, or drag him 500 feet by the back of the truck.
And I almost promised one of them said it's hunting season.
Oh,
dude,
they look like they were hunting.
Yeah. Got us a nigger.
Yep.
I mean, dude, I saw that video and I'm hearing these things.
Yes.
It's so common. I'm so sick of it. And this is where people go off on me and they laugh and they make jokes about me carrying guns and being so avid about protecting ourselves. Imagine if this young man was armed and trained, not even like military trained, just the amount of training I have. Right. And these guys roll up.
There'd be two people dead though, right? Because he would have got shot by. He would have killed somebody and somebody would have killed him.
Possibly.
Right.
He might have gotten both of them.
Right.
Because they don't know he's armed.
Right.
Right. If he's trained, it's possible he could have got everybody and got away. Or he could have got one or two of them.
Right.
But here's the thing. If enough black people are armed and trained and law-abiding citizens who are adamant about protecting themselves, guess what? When these guys roll up, they're thinking twice about it.
What happens if 100 black guys walk up to the Georgia state capitol with AR-15s on their side right now? I mean, right? We saw 100 white guys do this in Michigan.
Yeah.
What happens if 100 black guys in Georgia walk up to the Georgia Capitol and stand in front of the Georgia Capitol and protest and demand justice for this guy, like people demanding justice to get their haircuts?
Exactly.
One thing with that, we knew there was over 100 people there.
Right.
They only showed pictures of 5.
Right.
So we don't know if they were all white.
Right.
Yeah,
That's fair enough.
Of course. Yeah. We don't.
Right.
But
fair enough.
Still,
exactly. Yeah,
you're not gonna have a majority of black people up there and let it happen.
And that's the point. Like, so it's, and this is what I've been saying. It's legal. We have the right. I will never understand, especially me myself being a black man in this country, where the government has legally allowed citizens to enslave other citizens who look like me. I will never understand black people who say, "Oh, we should not have guns. Oh, we should." Like, look what happened when we didn't have guns. We were literally enslaved.
No.
You understand? Like, I don't understand people who don't want to defend and protect themselves. I wish we didn't have to. I really wish that this guy, Ahmaud Aubrey, could jog down the street peacefully and not be bothered by racists or just these adamant super patriots, just people who don't have any respect for life in general, let alone a black life, just any life in general.
Hey, Freddie, I have another question for you, right? So this guy who was the police officer and an investigator for the DA's office, right? If this ends up being charged as a hate crime or something like that, lawyers who have had people prosecuted by this guy over the last 30 years because of evidence that he's found, what kind, like, is this is going to open up a whole new thing, right? Because if I'm a lawyer and I had a black guy who was put in jail because of evidence that this guy found, and now he's convicted of a hate crime or a race crime, like, I got to believe that people are going to be like, whoa, and go back and try and get these cases retried or evidence thrown out because this guy's racist, so we believe that he made up evidence against our black client. Is this going to cause that kind of backlash?
I doubt it. The thing is, of course, that's what crosses your mind, but at the same time, for them to reopen a case, you would have to be able to prove that there was some kind of mistake of law, that he planted evidence or that he did something that's outside of the law, just to say, okay, he hates black people or he committed a hate crime. That's not going to give you grounds to reopen a case. It would have to be something that shows that there was some kind of bias in that case or evidence tampering or something planted along those lines to actually reopen a case. So,
okay. Hey, Freddie, thanks for calling in. Thanks for the legal perspective on this. Thanks, man. So you were just talking about this country and how it's treated us. Our friend Keela, she commented back on something I commented on Facebook, and she says, Dallas, I cried for Trayvon and Tamir, but this is horrible. And as a culture, we don't have the right to protest. We don't have the right to be angry. We're just supposed to take it. This is the second person killed while working out. We can't kneel. We can't run. We can't play. God forbid we get pulled over and asked the question why. But people who defend the flag go batshit crazy when somebody steps on it. Where is the outrage when a person is killed for existing? The Black American experience is very different than the other American experience. And this is so true. It's, and people say that we're too sensitive, right? Because they don't live in our shoes.
Right.
You know, like, and of course, like, I despise this. You fit the description.
Yeah.
What was the description? Oh, a black male. What was he wearing? Like,
Right,
tell me about
right.
this black male. What
Right.
color? How was his haircut?
Yeah.
You know, like, how was he? Was he tall? Was he short? Was he fat? Was he skinny? Like you said, like, what's the description? And I gotta believe that this guy is a former cop. I'm sure he's.
See, this is the thing. This is the step that so many people miss with the law. So if somebody breaks the law, let's say I break the law, I shoot somebody in the street, right? And then the police get called, and I'm just standing there over this dead body. When the police come, it's me versus the dead body. I'm going to tell the police officer what happened. The police officer is going to take my statement. Now, based on how he feels about me, he's going to write this statement in a certain way. He's going to write what I said, of course,
Right.
but he's going to write what he feels also was going on. He can arrest me or not and charge and say, I'm going to charge you with this or you're arrested for XYZ. But he's not technically going to charge me. He's going to give his report to a district attorney or a prosecuting attorney or whoever the attorney is, right? For the state. The state then decides this is enough evidence to charge this person with XYZ crime, right? We can charge him with murder in the first, murder in the second. It was self-defense or, whatever, right? So if the policeman pulls up and he's just an honest guy, he's going to write his statement as honest as possible and the chips will fall where they may, right? And then he gives that to a prosecuting attorney who also, if they're an honest guy, the chips will fall where they may, right? And if you did the right thing and the cop did the right thing and everybody did the right thing, you'll walk free because you were defending yourself. Now imagine this same situation. The cop comes up. The cop hates black people. He doesn't like black people. He doesn't think black people belong in his America, right? So now guess what? No matter what I say, he's going to write that statement so that I can do as much time in jail as possible. Now he's going to give that statement to the district attorney. They don't really care what I said because they trust the officer. Even if this district attorney is a stand-up person, they've gotten basically their message on what happened from a racist person who they may or may not know is racist or hates people who look like me, right? Now, this is a stand-up district attorney here who now has all the information given to them about a black man from a racist white man or just a racist man in general, right? Now, imagine if both of them are racist. Imagine if the cop, his captain, his district attorney, and all these other people who got the cops back.
And not only are they racist, but they're friends.
Right. They're racist and they're friends. So now guess what? I defended myself legally, but guess what? I'm going to jail because these people don't want me on the streets.
Right.
This is why
You're a thug now.
Sometimes you see what I'm saying? Like this is where people don't understand. This is where the racism and all those things and the prejudices, things like that come into play when somebody gets arrested or someone commits a crime. Because everything is based on a perception. Nothing is really based on exactly what happened unless you have video footage.
So my brother was a cop until like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever there was like a police officer shot a black guy, my brother's black, obviously, like we would argue, you know, about this, you know, like him and I, like, and he always took the side of the cop. And I don't know, a month or so ago, him and I are having a conversation. And I never asked him before. I was like, why did you quit the police force? He's like, I just couldn't take it anymore. I was like, take what? He goes, cops are the most piece of shit, corrupt people I've ever met. And I was like, then how do you defend them all the time in these shootings? He's like, I don't defend them. I defend the situation.
Right.
He says, when you're a cop, he said, you literally have 2 seconds or less to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
And your instinct is always going to be to survive.
Right.
That I'm going home tonight to see my wife and kids.
Right. Right.
And he goes, I'm not saying that those shootings were justified. He says, I'm justifying the situation.
Right.
And he says, as a normal person, if you're probably not going to take the time. You're not going to take 20 seconds to process a situation because
Right.
you'll be dead in 20 seconds.
Right.
You know, but for him, as a guy, like for years, we have argued, like had some really heated arguments to the point where we wouldn't talk for like months because of these arguments
Right.
about these police shootings. And then for him to tell me, oh no, these cops are the most corrupt ass people I've ever met.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, I was shocked actually, like for him to actually say that.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about this situation. Like, oh, so they said they're going to send it to the grand jury. And in Georgia, the grand juries can't come back, I think, until like June 13th-ish or something. Here's the problem with that, though, right? They don't have to send it to a grand jury.
No.
The prosecutor has the right to say, I see enough evidence
To
that
charge
we're
them
going to
with murder.
we're going to charge this and move forward with this.
Yeah.
So
The grand jury, in 90% of cases, the grand jury is a joke process.
Right.
They're doing the grand jury so they can take the weight off themselves because they don't have to present all the evidence to the grand jury and they can present it however they want. Imagine going to court and you get no defense attorney and there's only a prosecutor and the prosecutor presents all their evidence to the grand jury and then you just have to sit there and see what the actual jury decides.
Right.
That's what a grand jury is. Take away you sitting there and the judge and your defense team and everybody else. That's basically what it is. These guys are already friends. If this goes to a grand jury, there will be nobody charged with anything.
we saw the Rodney King situation, and when they were found not guilty, the federal government stepped in and then charged them for violating Rodney King's civil rights.
Right.
Because you can't charge people for the same crime. I guess you can charge them federally, and then, but in the state you can't charge double jeopardy. You can't charge anybody for the same. Once I'm convicted or I'm found not guilty,
you can't be charged for the same crime. Yeah.
So I just feel like under this current administration, that's not going to happen.
No. Nobody's
going to step in from the federal government and be like, this is a hate crime. We just passed the law. You're only going to get 10 years in prison.
Yeah.
And see, this is, remember, like one of our shows in season 2, we talked about people reading the headlines, and we talked about the 4 guys. The headline was 4 people vote against this.
Yeah.
The lynching law.
Right.
And, or the hate crime law.
It was a hate crime law that, all hate crimes should be federal and not state.
Right.
Yeah.
And it specifically mentioned lynching. So the 4 people that voted against it, the reason they voted against it was they said that when it becomes federal, the state makes a sloppy case.
Right.
The state doesn't really help them.
Right. They're just like, it's your case.
It's your case. You do. Yeah. One of the guys was like, the guy from Texas was like, there were crimes that deserve more than 10 years in prison.
Right.
And we have the death penalty in Texas. So
yeah, I would rather they face Texas law than
the federal law. This is one of those cases, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Where like 10 years isn't enough.
Yeah.
Right.
These guys, like, dude, vigilanteism is illegal everywhere.
Yes.
You can't be a vigilante. And that's what these guys are doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we watch these comic book movies and these superhero movies. And a lot of these guys, they've been watching cowboy movies. And it's okay to do this, but it's not in reality. You know what I mean? Like, we want to be there, but love or hate the police, indifferent, right, wrong, whatever, that's literally what they're there for. If you see somebody, call the police. If you want to defend yourself, you're allowed to have weapons to defend yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? This behavior is criminal.
There's two other quick things I want to talk about police. Have we seen this video of this guy? It was in California. I didn't think I was going to talk about it today, where he's actually got his hands behind his head and he's standing against the fence, and the cop starts beating him.
Mm-hmm.
Two things to me that are really wrong about this. One, the guy's not doing anything. He's surrendered. He's got his hands on his head.
Yeah, and the cop's hitting him.
All of a sudden,
the
cop just wails on him and starts punching him. Cop can't fight. You see him throwing these punches like that's beside the point. The thing that even worse to me than that is the other cop who's just standing there watching.
Just standing there watching, not saying anything.
Yeah, she's just standing there watching this happen.
And you see her just standing there. Like, she's not trying to calm her partner down. She's not trying to get him off this guy. He's being beat for no reason.
Yeah. And even if we don't have any audio, but even if he said something, right, that doesn't justify you for going off on this guy and beating him like that.
And she turns her face toward the camera enough that you can tell she's not talking.
Right.
You can see she's literally just standing there.
Yeah.
Like, doing nothing. Yeah. And this is the same. I mean, it goes back, obviously, I think Rodney King, other than the actual murders we've seen caught on tape, Rodney King is probably the worst beating we've ever seen of police beating an unarmed person. And for them, all those officers to be considered not guilty, at that point, you have to understand the system isn't really here to protect us.
Right.
You see? I don't know how, if you've never seen the Rodney King video, I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. Google it. I mean, just watch it.
I want to say this too, like, because this kind of bothers me a little bit because I don't think it's fair. We cannot make, people are going to argue with me about this, and that's fine. When you see a set of cops surround a white guy and they don't kill him or shoot him or beat him down, and then you see a different set of cops surround a black guy and they shoot him or beat him down or whatever, you cannot automatically assume that those cops who didn't shoot the white guy would beat up a black guy. We don't know those guys. They might be the 6 good cops on the force, and to lump them in with the 1,000 bad cops, or what, 50% bad, 50%, whatever the number is, you can't automatically assume that. You can't automatically assume that these guys who are beating down this black guy wouldn't beat down a white guy. You can, because you don't know their individual characters and who they are. With that said, we obviously see, well, I don't know, when Cops was on, we saw a lot of white people get beat down.
Man,
so like
the cops on cops beat down everybody.
Right.
But that's the power of, like, the media, right? You know what I mean? That's the power of being able to edit video or show you what we want to show you. Is on Cops, there was like equal justice. Everybody got beat down just as much as everybody else.
Fair.
You know what I mean? It was like a fair amount of beat downs.
And if you lived in a trailer, with the exception, there's a lot more trailer park beat downs on Cops.
Yeah, of course. You know what I mean? They went to the projects and trailer parks. You know what I mean? It was, and that's what they want to show. And people say, like, oh, well, you know, look at the percentages and all this and all these numbers or whatever. But when people look at these percentages, they always fail to understand that, like, there's literally like 100 million some odd white people in the country. Right. There's only like 12 million, 16 million, somewhere around there. Black people.
No, we make up 12% of the population. So 350. We're right around 34 million, 5 million.
Right.
And Latinos are right around 40. They're like 13.5%. The Asian population is like 8.5%, like that. So
this is what I'm saying. Like, when you look at the numbers, there's a lot less people of color, hence why we're called minorities, right, than white people.
Yeah. It's so like 300 million to 50 million ish, 300 million to 400, 310
So when people point out, like, the number of black people versus the number of white people being killed, percentage wise, like, yeah, you can look at the percentage of people they kill and say, like, oh, these numbers are normal. But when you compare those numbers to the actual amount of the population, and then you start looking at the unjust homicides, like, we've literally seen videos of white people wailing on cops.
Yes.
Right? And they live.
Right.
You know, they barely get a beat down. They might get tased, but they're handcuffed and they're put away. Right. For every 10 videos of that, you'll see 1 or 2 white people being shot, right? The numbers of black people being shot and actually murdered on video is not even close. And this is why I tell people, if you want to bring this argument bring a full argument. Bring your videos. Bring your evidence. Don't just come to me with some numbers you found on some Google site or whatever about these percentages or whatever. Like, let's have a full conversation of what I'm showing, of what you want to show me and what you want to talk to me about. Because I've yet to see these cases where black people kill white people and there's no justice. You remember that cop? He was like Ethiopian or Somalian or something. I can't remember. And it was somewhere in the northern state. But anyway, he shot a white woman on accident.
That's Minneapolis.
Yeah, okay,
Minneapolis.
right.
That's my
so
hometown.
he shot a white woman.
Yeah.
There was no police union backing him.
Nope.
There was nothing. Like he was
his partner,
right?
Right.
So instantly, when this came out that he shot a white woman, instantly he was fired. There was no, we're going to wait and see what happened. There's going to be no. He was instantly fired.
And
right.
The crazy thing is, right? He was found guilty in the same. Okay.
Right.
It's the same state, but one was Minneapolis. The other one was Orlando Castillo, I believe, was St. Anthony's, which is like a northern suburb of Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
The same state where Orlando Castillo was killed.
Yep. And
that guy gets off. Black guy shoots a white woman.
Yeah.
And he goes to prison for it.
Yep.
Same state.
Yeah. And at least, and the black guy kind of had a better argument, which was like, it was dark. He couldn't see. Yeah. She was basically like running and moving around and acting all frantic and going crazy. Orlando Castillo was in his car basically doing everything you are supposed to do.
Yes, officer, I have a gun. Yes, officer, I have a conceal and carry permit.
Yes.
Officer, my gun is right here. I'm going to get my gun for you.
Did everything.
Right.
Everything by the law and
everything he was supposed to say and do. Everything you learn in conceal and carry class, he did.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so, and this is what I'm saying. Like, so until you can start showing me like how this is not flawed, how this system is fair, how these things are right. And if you can look at these cases and say, you know what, you're right. That black guy should have been shot. Like, show me. Like, because here's the thing. I'm honest. I watch plenty of videos that people say, oh, that cop shouldn't have shot him. And I'm like, I don't know.
You know, my favorite thing is right now, is like people say, well, why didn't you just comply? Why aren't you just complying with your stay-at-home order right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you at the government with AR-15s? Why do I have to comply, but you don't have to comply?
When I see these videos of like the group of like white moms at the park arguing with the cop for like an hour on why they can't let their kids get on the swing. This is a violation of their American rights.
Right.
You never see these cops body slam these women and punch them in the face.
Right.
But there's plenty of videos of white cops slamming black women down, hitting them in the face, hitting kids, dragging kids out of school, slamming them out of their chairs. You see all this stuff, and what do? They side with the cop and say, "Oh, these kids should have complied." You know,
right?
When are we going to get to the fact that look, just because they have a badge doesn't mean that they have the right to do any and everything?
Police do not have the ultimate authority, and I don't know.
Well, here's the thing: these same people will admit that when they want to go bombard the state capitol with their AR-15s, right?
Right.
They'll admit that when they're at the park with their kids and they can't play.
It's patriotic.
You see what I'm saying?
It's patriotic to defend your right to go to work and get a haircut. It's not patriotic to defend injustices that are happening within the country.
Right. As you see these injustices, like if you want to convince me you're not racist, don't tell me how many black friends you have. Stand up for cases like this. Get your friends on board with understanding that a black man was murdered for absolutely no reason at all.
I will say this, that I have seen a lot of people who in the past have been like, black people are too sensitive, be like, whoa, this is murder. Like, they're like, this, like, you can't do this. Like, how is this even happening? So, but here's the problem. We need all those white people that are saying this now, even those guys that are borderline, like they don't really like black people, but they'll deal with them, but that are going like, whoa, you can't just run out and hunt somebody down and shoot them like this.
Right.
We need you to stand up.
Exactly.
If it's just the black community saying it, it's just the black community saying it. When white people start saying it too, then justice will happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. That's enough because I just can't take it.
I could go on for hours and I'll be just madder and madder.
I'll let you start this next story because I haven't read it, so I'm going to skim through it while you're talking about it. Earl Thomas plays for the Baltimore Ravens. Great defensive back. Got a couple Super Bowl rings. But you know what
all right, so in short, Earl Thomas' wife, in essence, caught him cheating, right?
Right.
So apparently, when the police show up, Earl Thomas has a gun in his hand. His wife has a knife in her hand, and she's chasing him around a car, right? So imagine. So now this is what's really funny. Like, if there was ever a time where I wouldn't be like surprised if the cop shot somebody, this is it, right?
right.
You pull up to the scene, one has a knife, the other has a gun, and they're running around a car.
I have to believe that they live in a very affluent neighborhood.
Probably.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
They're not living.
So apparently, to give you a little backstory before the police arrive. So I guess Earl and his wife, Nina, they get into an argument about Earl's drinking. I guess he was drinking too much or something. And then Earl's like, forget it, I'm leaving. His brother comes and picks him up. So I guess he left his phone at home. So his wife goes through his phone. She gets on a Snapchat account. She finds a video of him with other women. And obviously she does what a woman does. She flips out about it, right? Now, here's where the gangster comes out, okay? So she uses his Snapchat account to track his location. So maybe he has another cell phone or he had his iPad or something like that, right? But she tracked his location to an Airbnb rental. She calls up two other women. So she called the squad to help her go and confront Earl. So they go to this place. She gets his pistol, 9mm Beretta, to quote unquote scare him. Okay. That's a lie because she just caught him cheating. She's finna go bussing. When they arrived at the house, they discovered Earl and Seth naked in bed with a woman. So they caught Earl and his brother.
It says they were separate rooms, each with a different woman. Yeah.
Okay. So all right. I was about to say like, oh wow, they're just getting down. All right. So Nina admits she pulled the gun out and put it to Earl's head, but she said she took the magazine out so the gun would not fire. But obviously, we all know a gun can't fire without a magazine. Because she was obviously unaware.
We saw that in Tiger King.
Yeah, Tiger King, right?
When he didn't think.
God said that. Like, public service announcement. Every gun will fire without a magazine. Right. I don't care what the instructions say. Right. So there was a round in the chamber, though. So the cops say that the woman in the house shot a cell phone video of the incident, which they say she saw that Nina, Earl's wife, was pointing a gun at his head from less than like half a foot away. Her finger was on the trigger and the safety was disengaged. And I guess you could tell all this from that video. So somehow Earl wrestled the gun away from his wife. And in the video, it shows like as he takes the gun away, she punched him in the face.
Right.
So that video ends. Somewhere in between there, the police are called. And somewhere in between there, Earl and his wife are now outside. She's got a knife now, and he's got the gun. And she's chasing him around the car, I guess, trying to stab him. So this is when the police show up. It's funny now, but I'm sure it's not funny while it's happening. I mean, literally, somebody could have died.
She should have just divorced him and took half, right? Like, got the house and a few cars, and
yeah.
I don't know what his contract is, but she could have got a couple million out of this. Like,
it's probably not too late,
right?
I'm sure she still can.
This is the temporary insanity plea, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like when something happens to you that's traumatic, you get the.
Yeah,
I snapped.
I blacked out. I don't know.
Right.
You know
I don't know what
happened.
Right. That's the temporary insanity plea. But this is awesome. Like, just
this is the best sports news we got right now.
Right.
Thank you, NFL. Always coming through.
Right.
Always.
Right. Apparently, Thomas had a response on his Instagram, but he's since taken it down. But it says, I guess I'll be on TMZ in the morning. Somehow they got a police report with details. Obviously, this is not how I wanted my birthday breakfast to start out for my birthday, but it is what it is.
Look, man. Look, here's the thing, bro. Like, number one, you cheating, all right?
Yeah.
And apparently, You got a little
Props to his
sloppy.
wife though for going after the right person, not going after the woman.
Yeah,
she
yeah,
went
yeah.
after him, right?
Yeah, right.
She shouldn't be going after the woman,
Right.
Like,
And apparently those women felt comfortable enough that they were sitting there filming the whole thing.
right,
Like, and all this is going on.
Like she didn't think that she was ever going to point the gun at. If she shot him, she was never going to shoot me.
Yeah,
Right?
they weren't sitting there in fear. Like, you're not in fear and then pull out your cell phone and start filming.
Right.
Like, you're begging for your life or something. But nah, she didn't care about them. Yeah. So, and I saw a lot of women like commenting on this, like, oh, she didn't do anything wrong. She should be released. This is what every woman would do. And okay, ladies, if you're listening, I understand. I get it. You come home, me as a man, I think if I come home, I catch somebody cheating, I'm pulling the guns out. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, I mean, look, somebody's going to have to get shot today. That's just how this is going to play out. However, what she did was illegal. What she did was wrong. What she did was premeditated. Right. She can get a lawyer and probably, plead temporarily insanity. She could find ways around
better
this,
off breaking in there with her camera phone and taking video of him cheating.
Yeah, yeah, and then taking that to her lawyer, right?
Yeah, and be like, yo.
But when you get a gun and then you call your friends and then you guys meet up or you wait for your friends to get to your house and y'all ride over there together, now you've assembled a posse.
Right.
And you've gone to commit a crime. Imagine, let's say she took the mag out of the gun and they're still around in the chamber. And while she's standing there thinking there's no bullet in it, maybe she purposely pulls the trigger or accidentally pulls the trigger because her finger's on the trigger, right? Now somebody gets shot or dies. Now she's charged with murder or attempted murder. And either way, it's going to be premeditated because she didn't just grab a gun and leave. She grabbed a gun and called up the posse.
Is Earl Thomas going to have a new nickname in the Ravens locker room?
Probably. I mean, I think he should. I don't know.
How do you live that down?
I mean, I'm pretty sure half the locker room has been in a similar situation, but when you get caught and end up on TMZ, you're the one that's going to catch the joke. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been locked down, and for the last, how long has it been now? It's been like about a month and a half.
51
months.
days.
Huh?
We're on day 51 here
51 days?
in Nevada.
51 days in Nevada? Wow. We have our soft opening next week on May 15th.
Sooner
than May 15th?
Yeah, he's announcing it today.
Oh.
Soft opening today? Or he's
announcing it today. So it's going to be sooner than the 15th, though.
Oh, that's
okay.
Great.
Maybe on Monday.
Right.
Cool.
Which is close to the 15th.
So there's so many conspiracy theories out there, and everybody has an opinion. Mm-hmm. And it's funny to me because everybody posts an opinion by somebody who agrees with them, no matter what their credentials are. And now they're mad at like YouTube for taking down the video of those two doctors, right? That went on there, in October, but we're going to have all this and blah, 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 and everybody's going to die in October. See, they're telling the truth. But you don't know the background story of these two doctors. They weren't basing it on any medical or scientific evidence. They're just pissed at the government because they closed down their urgent care and they're not making any money right now.
Right.
They're taking down videos that are scare tactics and don't have any scientific background to them. You can understand why you would do that though, right? Like,
yeah,
because all you're doing is perpetuating false information.
Right.
So I get that. But there's so much funny stuff about this too. Like people who are going to refuse to go to Costco because you're going to have to wear a mask. It's my right to not wear a mask. You're right. It's also your right to not go to Costco.
Exactly. Like it's so annoying to see these people who are just like, oh, they're infringing on my rights. That's a private establishment, bro.
That's the thing that people don't know, right? People say, oh, it's a free country. Free country doesn't exist on private property.
Exactly.
Like we've all been in the restaurants or the stores. Management refuses the right to serve anybody.
Exactly.
It's my establishment. I don't have to serve you.
You know what? No shoes, no shirt, no service.
Right.
Like that sign's been around probably since the first store ever opened.
Right.
Somebody walked in with it probably was a black guy who couldn't afford shoes, walked in back in like the 1930s. Yeah. And the white owner was like, you know what? No shoes, no service. Like, you know what I mean? And
right.
And that's been forever. And nobody's ever argued it. You know why? Because you got shoes and you got a shirt and you go in, right? And now they're saying no mask, no service. Well, put a mask on. Like, how much do these masks cost? Like, not much. And here's what gets me.
There's actually people all along the streets around Vegas with little tents set up, selling them for
everybody's
$5.
selling masks now, right? So here's the thing: if you don't believe that this virus is real, if you don't believe that you need a mask for anything, then fine. You don't have to wear a mask ever. But here's the thing: if you have one in your car and you go to the store and they say, "Oh, you got to have a mask to come in," but just throw it on. Like, what is the big deal? Like, how does that just hurt your American freedoms so bad? Like,
security guard at Family Dollar was shot and killed over this.
wow.
Family of 4 comes in. 3 of them have masks, but the daughter doesn't. He says, "I'm sorry, she can't come in the store. You have to have a mask."
Yeah.
Every fight breaks out.
Oh my gosh.
She gets shot.
It's crazy, dude.
Or he gets shot. Yeah.
These people are nuts, bro. Like, it's a freaking mask.
And those were
like,
black folks, by the way. Let me so I don't want people to those were black folks. Like it just I just like I don't know how. I don't carry a gun anymore, but I feel like I'm gonna have to start carrying it again. I really do feel like, because I feel like shit's getting crazy. You carry a gun already? Oh.
I was laughing because I saw he told you to keep running it, but you had your eyes closed, and he got up and left. And he had to go to the bathroom.
All right. I don't understand this Steve when he gets back with all that stuff. Like, how do you get to the point where you just want to pull a gun on somebody?
Some of these people, especially in the South, they're raised to hunt.
Yeah.
So
I'm from the Midwest.
They're 5 years old,
right,
with a gun in their hand. You know what I'm saying? So it's just ingrained in them. And with a lot of things, what you start out with is never enough. So let's say you killed every animal you wanted to kill. What's the next mission?
The next evolution?
You know, you want something. You're waiting for something to break out because you can't wait to use that gun in some type of civil war. So that never happens. So now you're pulling out guns on regular people.
Right.
I've never understood it. I've never pulled a gun on anybody in my life.
Not me either.
I've never I
did once. I did actually in Mississippi, because actually it was kind of a similar situation. My oldest son was like 9 months old, and we were at a park. I forgot. Oh wow, I don't know how I forgot about this. This is so my ex-wife, like, we lived in Mississippi. I was managing some radio stations down there, and it's Mississippi. I don't know what else to say. So my ex-wife is Latino and white mixed, so she's light skinned. And I don't know how I forget about this. We take my son to the park one day, and we're just playing.
He's 9 months old.
He's 9 months old. And these 2 guys in this little raggedy ass, like, Datsun, old, like 1980 Datsun, like, pickup truck, like, drive by and yell "nigger lover." Whatever, we keep doing what we're doing. They drive by a second time and they yell it. I'm like, all right, we're leaving the park. When we get to my truck, they pull up behind us. And
anytime somebody will say that, they have some violent tendencies.
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just stop there, especially if you don't react.
Right. And so they get out, and God, like, I should have called you and have her tell the story. It's crazy. So now they get out, and my gun is between my driver's seat and my door.
Mm-hmm.
So I open my door, and I'm like, just put the kid in the car. And I grabbed my gun, and I didn't point it at anybody. I didn't, do anything. I'm pointing it to the ground, and I'm like, you're going to let us leave. And we're leaving now. So go. And then they kind of chickened out and got in their car and left.
Yeah.
This guy's my witness. We get back to the house. She starts packing shit. She's like, I'm out.
Wow.
She's like, I'm going home. And she was pregnant with our second child at the time.
Yeah.
She's like, there's no way in hell I'm letting them put Mississippi on my daughter's birth certificate. She's like,
yeah,
we're out. So like, she's like, you got to find another job. And literally within like 4 days, she was back in Minnesota. And now I'm looking for different jobs around the country because she's just like, I'm not being here. Like, I'm not doing this.
And you know what's funny about this is I respect those racists more than the ones who have the racist beliefs, but they don't let them out publicly.
I've always said this. I have always, I don't care what your belief is. If you have enough belief and enough faith in what you believe in to be open about this is who I am and stand in front of my face and say this without a cloak on or without anything, I have respect for that.
Right.
I don't have respect for the guys like Dog and Michael Richards from Seinfeld who make racist comments and then try to backpedal on it.
The
NASCAR racer just recently
he got suspended or he got fired actually from NASCAR.
Yeah, lost all the sponsorship.
They were doing some online racing thing and he dropped the N-bomb. Yeah. And they fired him. Everybody dropped him.
And then he tried to backtrack out of it.
Yeah. Because he thought they were doing an online racist thing. Yeah. And so he got confused.
He got a little confused. Gotcha. Joke's on you now, buddy.
I have much more respect for. Yeah, that's what I believe, and that's good. That's fine, and we don't have to agree on what you believe.
Yeah,
but be man enough or woman enough about it to show your face and say,
right. This is exactly.
Oh
what I believe.
No, that's not what I meant. No, that's exactly what you meant.
Right, exactly.
One of my favorite videos is the Delroy Lindo video where he's on the news station in L.A. and it's he shuts this guy down so greatly. The guy's like, "Why do you think it's okay for black people to say the N-word?" And Delroy Lindo looks at him and he goes, "Go ahead, say it." He's like, "What?" He says, "Say the word. You know you want to say it."
Because the guy was like, "How come it's okay for you to say it, but I can't say it?"
He goes, "You want to say it? Just say it."
And then Delroy was like, "Well, if you want to say it, say it."
And he goes, "Let me help you."
Because they're all like, "Oh, come on, you know we can't say it." He's like, "No, it's America, free speech. Say it.
Say it. Right.
You want to say it so bad, say it. Right. Let me help you." So funny, bro.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and that's the truth about it. If you don't want to say it, then why are you asking permission?
Right.
You understand? You know what I mean? Like, why do you want to say that word so bad? Anytime somebody comes up to me and asks that question, how come it's okay for black people but not white people? Why do you want to use it? I had a talk with he won't mind. I'm sure he won't mind me saying this. Group of my friends, like we were having a meeting, my business partner and I, and we had Frank Mir come through and we were doing some filming. And Frank Mir said something that was so like powerful, right? We were trying to talk about relationships and traditional roles with men and women and stuff. And Frank Mir goes, we were talking about how like these women,
UFC fighter, Frank
Mir. UFC fighter Frank Mir. And so these guys were, what we were talking about is like how there's like this movement now of like anti like sluts and slut shaming and different things like that, right? And then you have these groups of women who are like, well, if we want to be sluts, we can, because men can do it and they don't get backlash or whatever. And Frank said something that was super profound to me anyway. And he was like, look, when men sleep around, like when we cheat on our wives, when we, are not faithful and we give in to our horniness like so much, and I'm paraphrasing in a sense, he's like, that's like the lowest level of manliness. Like, that's not even something we're proud about. Like, we wish we had better control over sexuality in a sense. Like, we wish we weren't just horny all the time, So for us, like, that's a very low quality. Like, it's one of our worst qualities that men share pretty much across the board. Why, as a woman, do you want to emulate that? Like, why do you want to have that quality? Like, of all the qualities men have that are great, like strength and leadership or things that we're stereotypically supposed to be good at. Right. Why don't you want those qualities? You want the one that we're not even proud of. Like, you know what I mean? And that's where I go with this N-word is like, this is not a great word. This is not a great thing. Why do you want to say it so bad? Right. Because you're not asking for permission to say it if you don't want to. What is the purpose? What are you going? If all of a sudden every black person in the world decided, you know what, the N-word ain't bad, white people can say it. Why would you want to say it? What would you use it for? Right. What would you do? You and your white spouse and your kids, y'all gonna sit around the living room calling each other niggas all day? Of course, you know what I mean? Like what is the purpose of wanting to use that word?
You said that though, and there are teenage white kids and millennial white kids that are going around home all day doing that anyway. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah, they feel like they can just use the word anyway. So like, I've been in places.
I'm
so like, over this word. It's not even like,
it's not even funny anymore. It's not even entertaining to talk about. And it's crazy how many people who like Hispanics or basically non-white people of color who feel like they can use this word for whatever reason, even around black people. Like I've been at the park or even at, work in a casino, and I hear like Hispanic people saying it, and I always stop and look at them. And then they try to tell, like, these older guys, they were probably in their 30s, mid 30s, right? They were from Texas. and 2 Mexican guys, but from Texas, literally said the N-bomb like 6 times in like 15 seconds. And I like stop them like bro, y'all can't use that word, you know? And then they tell me, no, bro, it's okay. We're from Texas. And I was like, what do that got? Number one, what does that have to do with it?
Fat Joe and Cardi B defend this all the time as Latinos.
Yeah, exactly.
They feel like they have the right to say the word because they feel like we're all in this together. And I'm telling you that Latinos weren't the slaves.
Here's my thing. If we're all in this together, Fat Joe and Cardi B, are you right now protesting for Ahmaud Aubrey? Are you protesting for Tamir Rice? You know what I mean? Like, are you standing up and fighting that battle since we're all in this together?
Right.
Because they're not. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and it's fine if they don't. I don't have a problem with you not standing up for black people. But don't try to invade black culture and do black things and get all the benefits. You know what I mean? Don't try to enjoy all the pros of being black. But then when the cons come up and all the negatives, you're like, you know what? Yeah, we support you, but from over here.
Right.
You know what I mean? No, if you're gonna be involved, be involved. You know, all the people who say, "Oh, I got black friends and I'm not racist and this and that," well, prove it. I mean, I have tons of friends, especially out here in Vegas. I love each and every one of them that are not black, right? But when things like this come up, I don't need you to inbox me and tell me how much you care about this situation. I need you to tell all your racist friends and all your family members that this is why they should be caring about black people. Convince them. Don't convince me. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't need your convincing.
Amanda Seales, who I am absolutely in love with now, like, she's on The Real. She's on Insecure with Issa Rae. She was on Charlamagne and them on the Breakfast Club. And she made a very good point. And she said that we as black people need to stop trying to educate white people. She says it's not our job. And I thought that was pretty profound. She's like, we're always trying to justify and educate for them when we shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, very true.
That makes sense. All right, guys, we will be back next Thursday, 12-ish Pacific Standard Time. I'm Dallas Scott. Where's my music, man? There it is. Hollywood Huff, Quan the producer. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you subscribe, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, The Negro Please. Thanks again, guys.